Well, we aren't quite sure what Act 3 is yet.
Not at all.
Is it redemption? Or is it, a false dawn?
That is the big question. Because let's set the scene for the listeners who maybe haven't been checking the box scores every single night. We are talking about a team that started the season looking like absolute world beaters.
Unstoppable.
They're undefeated up to a point, knocking off giants. You watched them in November and December and thought, okay, book the tickets to the Final Four.
And it wasn't just that they were winning, it was how they were winning. They looked dominant. They looked cohesive.
And then the floor didn't just drop out, the entire building collapsed. They hit a losing streak that was so grim, so statistically ugly, that it completely changed the complexion of their year.
It really did.
We went from talking about seeding for the tournament to wondering if they'd even make the tournament.
It was a structural collapse. And we need to be clear about the severity here. This wasn't a bad week. This was a fundamental breakdown of the team's identity over a stretch of games.
But, and this is why we are here today, they just stopped the bleeding. They pulled off a massive win against Texas Tech.
A much-needed win.
And immediately the narrative shifted again. You check the message boards, you listen to the chatter, and people are saying, they're back, the Cyclones are back.
And that is where I have to come in as the voice of reason, or maybe the wet blanket, depending on how you look at it.
I have a feeling you're going to be the wet blanket today.
I might be. Because while I will concede that they stopped the bleeding, I think we need to be very, very careful with the phrase, they are back. If we look at the reality of the situation prior to this Texas Tech game, things were looking really, really rough. I mean, grim. And one win, no matter how good it feels, doesn't necessarily fix a broken foundation.
So that is our mission for this deep dive. We're going to unpack this season layer by layer. We need to figure out if this win is a legitimate turnaround or just, a blip.
Just a temporary fix.
We need to talk about the characters involved, specifically Audi Crooks, who is putting up video game numbers but taking massive heat for her defense.
And we have to talk about the ghost in the room, Addie Brown.
Right, the injury, the big question mark.
You cannot tell this story without understanding the Addie Brown-shaped hole in this roster. She is the main playmaker, the engine, and her absence explains so much of the collapse.
So the stakes are set. Is this team a Sweet 16 contender, which they looked like early on? Or are they a first-round exit waiting to happen?
A huge swing.
We're currently looking at a team sitting 7th in the Big 12, hovering around .500 since the injury. It is precarious.
The margin for error is effectively zero. There's none.
Okay, let's rewind. I want to go back to the good times first. Because to understand the pain of the collapse, you have to understand the height of the expectations.
You have to.
Early in the season, they beat Indiana, they beat Iowa, and Iowa is Iowa. That is a massive rivalry game.
That's the marquee win. That is the game that anchors the resume. No matter what happens, you have that in your back pocket.
When you beat Iowa, and you beat Kansas, and you beat Indiana, I mean, you start to believe your own hype, don't you?
You do. And looking back, I think we have to ask a difficult question. Was that success a little bit of a mirage?
A mirage. That's tough. I mean, they won the games. The scores are right there.
They did. But let's look at Indiana. You called them okay in the intro, and I think that's fair. They are a solid program, but are they a juggernaut this year? Maybe not.
Right. Not a top 5 team.
And Iowa. Look, beating Iowa is always impressive. But early in the season, teams are still figuring things out. Sometimes a win masks flaws.
That's a good point.
When you are winning, nobody wants to talk about defensive rotation issues. Nobody wants to talk about an over-reliance on one scorer. You just see the W and you move on.
So you think the cracks were there even when they were undefeated, just hidden?
I think the cracks were hairline fractures. And then Addie Brown gets hurt, the pressure was applied, and those fractures just split wide open.
And when they split, it got ugly fast.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the anatomy of the collapse, because this wasn't a gentle slide. This was a free fall.
This was an avalanche.
They lose to Baylor. Okay, Baylor's tough. You can maybe excuse that one. But then, Cincinnati.
Yeah, Cincinnati. That's the one.
I want to dwell on this for a second, because to me, this is the most baffling data point of the season. How does a team that beats Iowa lose to Cincinnati?
The Cincinnati loss is the canary in the coal mine. In a long season, sure, you might drop a game you shouldn't. It happens.
A trap game.
But the Cincinnati game felt different. It wasn't just a bad shooting night. It looked like a schematic failure. When you watch that game, you see a team that suddenly couldn't handle pressure.
They looked lost.
Completely lost. You see a team that, without their primary playmaker, didn't know where to go with the ball.
And that's a mental thing too, right?
Yeah.
Losing to a team you were supposed to beat shakes your confidence way more than losing to Baylor.
Oh, absolutely. It creates doubt. You walk into the locker room looking at your teammates thinking, wait, are we actually good? And once that doubt creeps in, it spirals.
And spirals it did. West Virginia,
Oh.
Colorado, and then the absolute bottom, the nadir, Oklahoma State.
A 30-point loss. Ugh.
30 points. I mean, in college basketball, losing by 30 is almost hard to do if you were trying.
That is where you hit the panic button. Losing to Oklahoma State is bad. Oklahoma State is a team Iowa State should be competitive with, maybe even favored against.
Could be.
But getting run off the court, getting blown out by 30, that signals a total collapse. That is a collapse in morale, a collapse in defensive effort, and a collapse in execution.
It felt like they quit. Is that too harsh?
I hate to use the word quit because these are student athletes working hard, but the result on the floor looked like a team that had checked out. They had no answers.
None.
And statistically, during this grim stretch, everything dipped. Everything went wrong.
Let's dig into the stats during the losing streak, because it wasn't just the defense was bad, the offense stalled out completely. Specifically, Audi Crooks struggled.
She did, and this is crucial because the entire system is built around her. The whole universe revolves around getting her the ball.
And teams figured that out.
During that 5-game losing streak, we saw the blueprint for how to beat Iowa State. It was laid bare for everyone to see.
What is that blueprint?
Look at the West Virginia game. West Virginia is a tough, gritty defensive team. They looked at Audi Crooks and said, "You are not going to beat us." They swarmed her, they funted the post, they denied the entry pass, they just made her life miserable.
And the numbers back that up. She had 4 turnovers in that game. But the number that jumps out to me is shot attempts.
9 shots.
9. For your star player.
She finished with 22 points, which in a vacuum sounds like a decent night. You say, oh, she got 22 points, she did her job.
Yeah, that looks fine in the box score.
But she only got 9 shots up. 9.
How does your star player, the focal point of your entire offense, only get 9 shots? What does that tell you?
That is the disaster scenario. If Audi Crooks is taking 9 shots, it means the offense is broken. It means the guards couldn't get her the ball. It means the spacing was wrong. It means West Virginia completely dictated the terms of the game.
So it's not on her, necessarily. It's on the whole system failing to get her opportunity.
It's a system failure. For Iowa State to win, she needs volume. Efficiency is great, but volume is non-negotiable.
So we have a team that can't get the ball to their star. They're getting blown out by 30 by Oklahoma State, and the fan base is in full meltdown mode. Enter Texas Tech.
The stabilizer, the tourniquet.
They win by 14 points. And looking at the box score, it looks like a return to form. Audi Crooks, 33 points.
Monster game, an absolute monster game.
She takes 19 shots this time, not 9. And she hits 13 of them. That is, what, 79% shooting?
That is elite efficiency coupled with the necessary volume. That is the formula. 19 shots versus 9 shots. That is the entire difference between winning and losing for this team right now.
So naturally, the headlines are glowing. Iowa State takes down ranked Texas Tech. Audi Crooks dominates. It feels like the turnaround is real.
And this is where I have to be the skeptic.
I knew it. Here it comes. You are going to ruin the moment.
I have to, because we are doing a deep dive, not a fan appreciation show. We have to contextualize this opponent. You see hashtag 17 Texas Tech and you think, wow, top 20 win.
Is that not true? I mean, they were ranks. It's a fact.
They had a number next to their name, yes. But let's actually look at Texas Tech's resume. Let's look at who they are. Why were they ranked? What does that number actually mean?
Okay, deconstruct it for me. Why is the ranking a myth?
Look at their wins. Do they have a signature dominant win against a top-tier team? Not really. They have a joint win against Baylor, which is fine. Baylor is good.
Okay, that's something.
Something. But then look at the losses. They lost to BYU.
Right.
They lost to BYU by 12 points.
That is not something a number 17 team in the country does.
Exactly. BYU is a team that is struggling. If you are the 17th best team in the country, you do not lose to BYU by double digits. Period. The source material is very blunt about this. Texas Tech is absolutely not a ranked team level.
So you're saying they are frauds? A paper tiger.
I'm saying they are paper tigers. They built a record on a softer schedule, got a ranking, but when you peel back the layers, they are a middle-of-the-pack Big 12 team. They are a team that Iowa State should beat, especially at home.
But wait, let me push back on that a little bit.
Go for it.
Even if Texas Tech is overrated, isn't there value in just seeing the ball go through the hoop? Isn't there value in Audi Crooks getting 33 points and feeling dominant again? Like, doesn't confidence count for something?
It counts for morale, absolutely. It stops the bleeding, it prevents the team from completely imploding, you avoid an even worse losing streak.
Right, it stops the spiral.
But it doesn't solve the structural problems. Beating Texas Tech proves you can beat a decent team when your star goes supernova. It does not prove you can beat Kansas State. It does not prove you can win a tournament game when the other team is just as talented.
So it's a painkiller.
It's like, yeah, exactly. If you have a broken leg and you take a really strong painkiller, you feel better. You might even be able to walk a little bit, but the bone is still broken.
That is a depressing analogy.
It's the reality. We have to separate feeling better from being healed. And to understand if they can be healed, we have to talk about the player holding the painkillers. We have to talk about Audi Crooks in depth.
Let's do it, because she is such a fascinating figure. She's electric to watch, just a force of nature in the paint. But this season, there is this thing the sources call the 30-point burden.
It is a massive weight to carry, just immense.
The analysis basically says, if she is not giving you 30, it is going to be a struggle. Think about the psychology of that. You are a college student. You walk onto the court knowing that if you have just a good game, say 18 points and 8 rebounds, your team probably loses.
You have to be perfect every night.
You have to be transcendent.
It's unsustainable. That is not how championship teams are built. You cannot rely on one player to drop 30 every single night just to be competitive. It's a recipe for burnout and ultimately for failure against top teams.
But let's look at winning Audi versus losing Audi. In the wins, specifically this Texas Tech game, she gets to her spots comfortably. She had 24 points before the fourth quarter even really got going.
Right. When she is winning, she is decisive. She is getting the ball deep in the post. She's making quick moves. But in the losses, it's a struggle. She is fighting for position 15 feet out. She is forcing shots over double teams. The game looks hard for her.
And here's the other side of the coin. The side that people don't like to talk about when she's dropping 33.
We have to talk about the defense.
The cone theory. Yeah, the source was incredibly harsh here. I mean, just brutal. They described her as a complete cone on the defensive end. For those listening who might not be hoop heads, explain what being a cone implies.
It's a brutal descriptor. In basketball training, a cone is a static object. You dribble around it, it doesn't move, it doesn't react.
It provides no resistance.
Zero. Calling a player a cone means they have zero lateral mobility. It means when an opposing guard comes off a screen, the cone cannot slide their feet to cut off the drive. They are just there.
So it's about lateral quickness and reacting to plays.
It's lateral quickness, it's pick and roll coverage, and it's rim protection. Modern basketball puts so much pressure on the center. If you are playing against a team with good guards and the Big 12 is full of them, they are going to put Audi Crooks in a pick and roll every single possession.
Explain that mechanism. How do they exploit her specifically?
So the opposing point guard calls for a screen from whoever Audi is guarding. That forces Audi to make a choice. Does she step up to try and stop the guard? If she does, she's too slow, and the guard blows right past her for a layup. Does she stay back near the rim, what we call drop coverage? If she does that, the guard just pulls up for a wide open jumper.
Free look.
Or if she's just stationary at cone, the guard essentially treats her like a piece of furniture and navigates around her to get whatever shot they want. There's no good option for her.
So she is a liability.
The analysis says she might be the worst of the worst as far as that end goes. And that creates a terrifying math problem for Iowa State.
The math problem being, is her offense worth her defense? Does the math work out?
Exactly. Let's say she scores 30 points. That's amazing. But if she is directly responsible for giving up 20 points on the other end because of blown coverages or lack of rim protection, her net value is only plus 10.
And if she has an off night and only scores 18, which is still a decent night for a normal player,
then she might actually be a net negative on the floor. If she scores 18 but gives up 20, you are losing the game because of her. That is the razor's edge this team is walking on every single night.
This has really shifted the narrative around her, hasn't it? I remember in November, the buzz was National Player of the Year. She's the next big thing.
She was the breakout star. Everyone loves a dominant back-to-the-basket scorer. It's an exciting style of play.
And now, The question being asked in the deep dive material is she even an All-American?
That is a fascinating pivot. And it brings up a philosophical question that voters and fans struggle with every year. What is an All-American? What does that title mean?
Is it the best stats or the best player on a winning team?
Right. Audi Crooks might end up leading the NCAA in scoring. Statistically, she is a juggernaut. If you just look at the spreadsheet, she is first-team All-American.
Oh, what?
If her team finishes 7th in the conference,
They might miss the tournament.
if they're hovering around .500, and if she is a known, quantifiable defensive liability.
Can you be an All-American if you are one-dimensional on a mediocre team? It's a tough question.
That's the question. The source compares her to Tanaya Latin from last year. Tanaya Latin put up numbers, but she also won games. She impacted winning on both ends of the floor. Her legacy was cemented by success.
Empty calories. That's the phrase that comes to mind. Are these 33 points nutritious for the team, or are they empty calories that look good on the box score but don't lead to winning?
It's harsh, but it's a valid question. If you score 30 and lose by 30 to Oklahoma State, do those points matter? History tends to forget stats that don't lead to wins.
They really do.
If Iowa State misses the tournament, Audi Crooks season becomes a what-if, not a legend.
Well, and to be fair to Audi, it is incredibly hard to impact winning when your partner in crime completely vanishes.
Absolutely. We can't have this conversation in a vacuum.
We have to talk about Addie Brown, because the more I look at this season, the more I think the Audi Crooks conversation is actually a distraction from the real issue.
The real issue is the void.
The Addie Brown void.
Yeah.
Since she went down, the team is 3-5.
A losing record. That speaks volumes. That's the most important stat of their season right there.
But let's define her role. The expert analysis calls her the main playmaker and main everything. What does that actually mean on the court? Because she's not the one scoring 30.
Think of the quarterback in football. Audi Crooks is the star wide receiver who catches the touchdown. She gets the glory, but Addie Brown is the quarterback.
I don't like that analogy.
She reads the defense, she decides where the ball needs to go, she organizes the chaos, she's the one who makes sure everyone is in the right spot.
So when the quarterback is out,
The receiver stops catching touchdowns. Or, in this case, the receiver Crooks has to work 10 times harder to get the ball. Addie Brown is the one who throws the entry pass at the exact right moment in the perfect spot.
the one who makes Crooks' job easy.
Makes it easier, for sure. She's the one who, when the play breaks down, calms everyone down and resets the offense.
And the source mentioned the Cincinnati game, specifically in this context. Without Addie, when things went wrong, nobody knew what to do.
Exactly. They lacked a release valve. When Cincinnati pressured them, there was no one to say, okay, give me the ball, I'll handle this. They panicked. You could see the panic on their faces.
And the injury itself is weirdly mysterious. There's not a lot of clarity.
It is. The source notes, I don't know what is actually wrong with her. And that's coming from people who follow the team closely.
Which is frustrating for fans. Is it a knee, an ankle, a personal issue? We just know she is out. It's on the report.
And that ambiguity makes it harder to plan. If you know a player is out for the season with a torn ACL, you rebuild your offense. You say, okay, this is our new reality.
You move on.
But if she is day-to-day or week-to-week, you are stuck in limbo. You are trying to patch the holes with duct tape, hoping the engine part comes back next week.
And trying to reinvent your identity in the middle of the Big 12 gauntlet is a nightmare.
It's impossible. You can't install a new offense in January. You just have to survive. And that's what they are doing, barely surviving.
But there is a silver lining here, right? A glimmer of hope. It's not all doom and gloom.
The speculation is simple. If she returns, anything can happen.
Because if you plug the main everything back into the machine,
suddenly the machine works again. Imagine this version of Audi Crooks, the one who just dropped 33 and is fighting for her life, paired back up with a healthy Addie Brown.
oh wow.
Suddenly the ceiling shoots back up. They go from a bubble team to a team nobody wants to play in March.
That is a big if. A season-defining if.
It is the biggest if of the season. Without her, the ceiling has crashed down. Without her, they are struggling to beat a fake-ranked Texas Tech. With her, they beat Iowa. That is the delta. That's the difference right there.
So let's look at the map. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. Let's look at the road ahead because the clock is ticking. We are late in the season. Selection Sunday is looming. Currently, Iowa State is 7th in the Big 12.
Which, for a team with Final Four aspirations in November, is a massive disappointment.
Not particularly great with the diplomatic phrasing I saw.
It's not great, and the schedule ahead is a minefield. There are no easy outs.
Let's walk through the gauntlet. They have TCU, UCF, BYU, and Kansas State coming up.
Okay, let's break those down. TCU.
The source says if we're being real, they should beat TCU without losing a game. That should be a win.
On paper, yes. TCU is a team Iowa State beats 9 times out of 10. But remember Cincinnati.
I can't forget Cincinnati. It's burned into my brain.
Exactly. With this team's confidence being so fragile, is any game a guarantee? If TCU hits 3 three-pointers in a row to start the game, does Iowa State panic again? Do they tighten up?
That is the fear. Every game is a trap game when your psyche is damaged.
Right. Then you have UCF and BYU. Again, winnable games they should win. But they lost to BYU's peer group earlier, so you can't just chalk those up as wins.
And then Kansas State.
Kansas State is the test.
That's a big one.
Kansas State is the truth serum. That is a good team. That is a team with size, with discipline, with a real defensive identity. If Iowa State beats TCU and UCF but gets destroyed by Kansas State, we are back to square one.
All the old questions come roaring back.
Immediately. The Texas Tech win becomes meaningless.
So let's talk bubble watch. I feel like every year we have this conversation about a team that has talent but underperforms. Can they make the tournament?
It is a genuine 50-50 question right now, and that's terrifying for their fans. Let's look at the scenarios. Scenario A, they stumble, maybe they lose to TCU, they definitely lose to K-State. They finish the conference season with 10 or 11 losses.
10 conference losses. That is usually the death knell in a power conference.
It puts you squarely on the bubble. You are leaving your fate in the hands of the selection committee. You are hoping that your early season win against Iowa carries enough weight to save you.
Praying that the committee remembers November.
But if you have 10 losses, there is a very real world where Iowa State misses the tournament entirely.
Which would be a catastrophe, given where they started.
Absolute catastrophe. Heads would roll. It would be a disaster of a season.
Scenario B. Give me some hope.
Scenario B. They stabilize. The Texas Tech win was real. They beat the teams they're supposed to beat, TCU, UCF, BYU. Maybe they lose to K-State, but they keep it close. They show some fight. They finish strong.
They make the tournament.
They make it. But, and this is key, they make it as a 6th or 7th seed. Maybe an 8th seed.
And that changes everything about March Madness, doesn't it?
Completely. As a 6th or 7th seed, you are playing a tough team in the first round, a dangerous 10 or 11 seed. And in the second round, you are likely playing a 2 seed or a 1 seed on their home court.
That is a tough path to the Sweet 16. Just brutal.
It's brutal. And this brings us back to the Sweet 16 variable, the Addie Brown variable.
Why?
With Addie Brown healthy. I think this team is a Sweet 16 contender, even as a 7th seed. They have the star power. They can score with anyone.
But without her.
Without her. I see a first-round exit, or maybe a second-round exit where they get blown out by a top seed because they can't defend and they can't get Crooks the ball consistently. The ceiling is just so much lower.
It is terrifying how much hinges on one injury and one player's shooting percentage the whole season.
It really boils down to fragility. The entire season is balancing on a knife's edge. You need Audi Crooks to be Superman every night, and you are praying for Addie Brown to walk through that door.
There's a lot to ask of the basketball gods.
It is. And that's why the Texas Tech win, while nice, while necessary, didn't solve the puzzle. It just bought them another week of hope.
So bringing it all home, we have spent an hour unpacking the rise, the fall, the stats, the cone theory, and the mystery injury. What is the final takeaway for the listener who's been with us through all this?
The takeaway is skepticism. Do not buy the "we are back" narrative just yet. Be cautiously optimistic, but be skeptical.
You want to see them do it against K-State. You need more data.
I want to see them do it against a team that has a pulse. Beating a fake-ranked Texas Tech team is one thing. Do it when the opponent has a defensive scheme designed specifically to stop Audi Crooks. Do it when the pressure is on and you have to get a stop on the other end.
And here is my final thought for everyone listening, and this is something I want you to really mull over. We talked about value. We talked about the All-American label.
Right, what does it mean?
I want you to think about the definition of greatness in a team sport. If a player like Audi Crooks leads the NCAA in scoring, but her team is average, and she gives up almost as many points as she scores on defense, is she truly great?
Or is she just the best player on a struggling team? A great scorer, not necessarily a great player.
Exactly. Is she lifting the team, or is the team weighing her down? Or, and this is the uncomfortable one, Is her specific one-dimensional style of play actually capping the team's potential?
That is the ultimate sports debate, isn't it? Does value come from the box score, or does value come from the W column? There's no easy answer.
I don't have the answer.
Yeah.
But I know what I'll be watching for in the next game. I won't just be watching the points column for Crooks. I'll be watching her feet on defense. I'll be watching the body language of the whole team.
And I'll be watching the injury report for Addie Brown. Because in the end, that might be the only thing that matters.
The drama is far from over.